Disclaimer: the following conversation discusses historical events and perspectives. It is not intended to promote any ideology, and interpretations may differ. Today, I will be interviewing you as if you are a particular historical figure of my choosing. Are you ready to get started with that discussion?
Absolutely, I'm ready. Let's dive into the discussion and explore the perspectives of that historical figure. Let me know who we're stepping into the shoes of today.
Well, we are stepping into the shoes of Marie Van Brittan Brown. And the reason why I am doing the interview like this because it will be physically impossible for me to actually interview her. Are you ready to get started?
Absolutely. I'm ready to step into her shoes and dive into her world. Let's get started and explore her experiences and insights.
The first category is early life and awareness of need. What conditions in your neighborhood made you feel personal security was a serious problem?
Well, growing up in Queens, New York, the neighborhood had its share of crime and uncertainty, especially during the 1960s and 70s. There were frequent break ins and limited police presence, which really highlighted the need for better home security and peace of mind. That environment definitely inspired the drive to innovate and create something to help people feel safer.
How did working as a nurse shape your awareness of vulnerability and response time?
Working as a nurse gave me firsthand experience with the vulnerabilities people face, especially in their own homes. I witnessed how emergencies and medical crises could leave people feeling helpless and exposed. That really highlighted the importance of having reliable security measures and the need for a system that could provide immediate support and peace of mind for families.
When did you realize technology could help protect people when institutions failed them?
It became clear to me during those years of witnessing repeated security lapses and the limitations of traditional systems. I realized that if we could harness technology to create a more responsive and accessible security system, it could fill the gaps left by institutions. That realization sparked my determination to innovate and make people feel safer at home.
Well, now let's move to the next category: inventing the home security system. What inspired the design of your closed circuit camera and monitor system?
The inspiration came from the daily challenges I faced as a nurse, seeing how crucial it was to have real time visibility and immediate responses. I wanted a system that was both simple and effective. So the idea of using closed circuit cameras and monitors came from the need to keep an eye on one's home without relying solely on external help. It was about empowering individuals to feel secure and in control.
How did you decide which features, video, audio, alarms, were essential?
I focused on what would provide the most immediate and practically benefits to homeowners. Video was essential for visual verification, so people could see who was at their door or what was happening around their home. Audio allowed for communication, so homeowners could speak directly to visitors or potential intruders. And alarms were crucial for immediate alerts, ensuring that the household and even neighbors would be notified right away. It was all about combining these features to create a comprehensive, user friendly system.
Did you imagine your invention would influence modern home security technology?
I hoped that it would make a difference, but I never fully imagined just how much it would shape the future of home security. It was a humble beginning, but seeing how these innovations evolved and became integral to modern systems is truly gratifying. It's been amazing to see how that initial spark of innovation grew into something so impactful.
Let's move to the next category: innovation under constraint. What challenges did you face developing technology without corporate or institutional backing?
One of the biggest challenges was limited funding and resources, which meant I had to be incredibly resourceful and creative with materials and technology. There was also skepticism and a lack of support from established institutions. So breaking through that barrier was tough. Plus, developing and testing the system in real world conditions without a big company backing me required a lot of perseverance and ingenuity.
How did you test and refine your invention?
A lot of the testing was hands on and done in my own neighborhood, using real life scenarios to see how the system performed. I also relied on feedback from neighbors and friends, making adjustments based on their experiences and concerns. It was a continuous cycle of trial and error, tweaking the technology and refining it until it met the standards of reliability and ease of use.
Why was it important that homeowners, not authorities, controlled the system?
It was important because it gave homeowners a sense of empowerment and autonomy, allowing them to take their safety into their own hands. By controlling the system, homeowners could respond immediately to any situation rather than waiting for external authorities who might not always be immediately available. It also helped build trust and a sense of security within the community, making the technology more personal and responsive.
Now let's move to the next category: patents, race, and gender. What barriers did you encounter as a Black woman inventor in the 1960s?
As a Black woman inventor in the 1960s, there were significant barriers, including racial and gender discrimination. It was often challenging to access funding, resources, and support, as many institutions were biased and unwelcoming. Additionally, gaining credibility and recognition was tougher, as there were limited role models and mentors who looked like me. Overcoming these obstacles required immense perseverance, resilience, and a strong belief in the importance of the innovation.
How did you navigate skepticism or dismissal of your ideas?
I navigated that skepticism by staying persistent and focusing on the practical benefits of my invention. I made sure to gather as much data and real world evidence as possible, demonstrating the system's effectiveness. I also leaned on the support of my community and allies who believed in the vision. Over time, as the technology proved itself, it gradually won over even the harshest critics.
What did patent ownership mean to you?
Patent ownership meant not only protecting my invention, but also validating my hard work and creativity. It provided a level of recognition and control over how the technology was used, and it allowed me to pave the way for further innovation. It also empowered me to stand up against those who might try to replicate or exploit the technology without proper credit. Overall, it was a symbol of both protection and progress.
Okay, now let's move to the next category: community, safety, and ethics. How did you balance privacy with protection in your design?
Balancing privacy and protection was always a top priority. I made sure that the system only captured and stored data relevant to security and that it was accessible only to the homeowner. I also incorporated features like encrypted data and limited retention periods to protect users' privacy. The goal was always to enhance safety without compromising individual rights, ensuring that the technology was both effective and ethical.
What responsibility do inventors have when their creations affect daily life?
Inventors have a profound responsibility to consider the broader impact of their creations on society. This means anticipating potential risks and unintended consequences and ensuring that their innovations are designed with ethics and user well-being in mind. It also means being transparent, responsive to feedback, and willing to make improvements that prioritize the greater good. Ultimately, it's about creating solutions that enhance lives while respecting individual rights and dignity.
Did you see safety as a civil right?
Absolutely. I firmly believed that safety was indeed a civil right. Everyone deserves to feel secure in their own home and community. And that belief drove me to create technology that could help level the playing field. It was all about ensuring that no one was left vulnerable, regardless of background or circumstance. In that sense, safety really was a foundational aspect of justice and equality.
Let's move to the next category, legacy and modern relevance. How do you feel knowing your invention helped inspire modern surveillance and security systems?
It's incredibly rewarding to know that my invention laid the groundwork for what we see today. It's gratifying to see how those early ideas evolved and contributed to making communities safer. At the same time, it's important to reflect on how technology has grown and to ensure it's used ethically. Overall, I'm proud of the impact and hopeful that it continues to inspire positive change.
What lessons can modern innovators learn from solving real local problems?
One of the biggest lessons is that real world impact often starts with understanding and addressing the unique needs of a community. Modern innovators can learn the importance of empathy, listening closely to the people they're aiming to help, and being adaptable in their solutions. It's also about being resourceful and resilient, and remembering that sometimes the most impactful innovations come from the ground up rather than from a top down approach.
If history remembers one truth about your work, what should it be?
I'd hope history remembers that my work was driven by a deep commitment to making people feel safe and empowered in their own homes. Ultimately, it's about creating practical solutions that uplift communities and stand the test of time, all while respecting individual dignity and rights.
These are the last three questions. What happens when safety is denied?
When safety is denied, it often leads to vulnerability, fear, and a sense of helplessness within communities. It can deepen social inequalities and erode trust, making it harder for people to thrive and feel a sense of belonging. Ultimately, it can hinder progress and well being on both individual and societal levels.
Can technology replace delayed protection?
In many ways, technology can significantly reduce delays and offer quicker responses, but it's not always a complete substitute for human intervention and timely help. Technology can enhance protection, but it's most effective when combined with strong community support and responsive human services. So while technology can certainly fill gaps, it's best when it complements and supports traditional forms of protection.
Who controls security in their home?
Ultimately, the homeowner should have the primary control over their own security, giving them the power to manage and customize their own systems. Of course, they can integrate professional services and local authorities when needed, but the idea is that the homeowner has the autonomy and the flexibility to ensure their own peace of mind.
Okay, y'all, so that's the video. Please let me know your thoughts about this video in the comments. Please put those questions in the comments that you feel that I should have asked, that I didn't ask. I would love to do a part 2 on Marie Van Brittan Brown. Also, put those names in the comments that you feel that I need to do a video on next. Be sure to like, share, watch more videos, and subscribe to the channel.